Now this is another concession which has come for one-person company, small company and dormant company. Only one board meeting in each half of a calendar year, and the gap between two board meetings is not less than 90 days. So this gap of 90 days is kept only for the simple reason that you cannot hold one meeting on 1st January and another meeting on 31st December. So you have to carry out within 90 days. Now, one-person company.
One half year, 6 months is to hold only one board meeting.
Yeah.
Then why is the gap of 90 days?
Minimum. See, that is to avoid that you hold one meeting on 1st January and the second meeting you have complied with both half on 31st December. The government does not want to do that. Like what we have in the public meeting and listed companies, a gap of 120 days. So here also they want to restrict it. If you have held your first meeting on 1st January, then you should hold it between September, before September. Now, one-person company, as I said, has to convert itself either into a private company or a public company the moment the limits is triggered of the paid-up capital or turnover. Now, it has given a time of 6 months for conversion purpose. So, one-person company shall be required to convert itself within 6 months of the date on which its paid-up share capital is increased beyond the limit. It shall alter the memorandum and articles by passing an ordinary resolution or a special resolution. One-person company shall give a notice to the registrar informing that it has ceased to be a one-person company and that is now required to convert itself into a private company or a public company. Pardon? HUF. But HUF is not recognized as a legal entity, so only Karta will come into play.
What about reverse conversion? Suppose an existing private company in 1956 Act wants to use certain compliances which are the benefit of which is available under OPC, can it convert into OPC?
Basically, what has happened, if you look at the majority of private companies, this is a husband-wife company. So basically, it is only a one-person company. There may be chances that it may be converted into a one-person company, provided that it is within the triggers of the paid-up capital and turnover.
Is there any procedure given under this?
अभी तो कोई procedure नहीं आया. So we may have to, as we walk along, we will have to see whether any procedure comes for this type of conversion, because there is going to be a big demand for this.
These OPCs are exempt from this loans requirement, section 185, 186 only.
अभी और concession की बात नहीं है, जो concession है वो ये.
So there is no specific benefit apart from just compliances, holding of meeting or small that.
Yeah.
We should propose it.
Let us say, as I said, as we go along, we will get lot of things to clarify. A company other than public company whose paid-up capital, as we discussed about, does not exceed 50 lakhs, which shall not be more than 5 crore, or turnover 2 crore, which may be allowed to be increased to 20 crores under the rules set in future. Now, this is another benefit which is coming to small companies. Financial statement shall not include cash flow statements. Now, whether there is a big relief in that or not, I don't think so. The annual return of a small company can be signed by a company secretary, or there is no company secretary, by the director of the company. Yeah.
So, if suppose I have a holding company and a subsidiary company, both are within this limit, still they cannot be a small company.
Even if they are within those limits, they cannot be considered as a small company. Yes. where there is strict prohibition there.
Once small company becomes subsidiary or a holding company subsequently, they will cease to be small company, right?
Yes.
What is the intention of putting into that the holding or subsidiary cannot be a small company?
What is the intention?
Even if it is within the limits, it cannot be a small company. So what is the intention of explicitly putting that?
I don't have any idea. Perhaps the only thing which I think that it should not be misused.
Like what?
In whatever way, turnover, this, that, because these are the various things which are required. Huh? Triggers of the limits is there. Must be only because of the apprehensions that it should not be misused. This is a foreign companies, the requirement are also as per the existing provision. There is not much of changes in this. Foreign company is a company or body corporate incorporated outside India. That is very clear in their present position also. It has a place of business in India whether by itself or through an agent, physically or through electronic mode. Now this is another thing which has been added, that electronic mode, if there is any business being done either through an agent physically or through electronic mode. Now this electronic mode is going to create many problems, because now we are seeing that a lot of foreign companies are doing through internet trading. So how they will be covered and controlled, that is to be seen. Or they will be required to be registered in India. Conduct any business activity in India in any other manner. Simple definition give understanding that even a company incorporated outside India has simple electronic presence which may be used for business in India is a foreign company. Now these are the documents which are required to be filed with the register of companies. It is more or less on identical lines with that of the existing provisions. There are no major changes in these except that electronic trading. The disclosures and filing with the profit and loss account with the registrar, these are also existing. And if they are not in English language, that needs to be translated into English language. These are all existing things, nothing new in this. So most of the provisions which are applicable to the Indian companies have also been made applicable to the foreign companies. provisions relating to charges, relating to inspection, inquiry, all will be applicable to this following. Then we come to the next topic on dividend. Here also we have tried to put it in a comparative form. Under the existing provision, we are required to transfer profit to the reserve account. This was something under the 1975 emergency. They brought out mandatory transfer of a specified percentage of profit to reserve. Now that has been dispensed with. Now you are not required to transfer the money to the reserve. Mandatory transfer to reserve has not been acknowledged by Companies Act 2000. Companies are free to transfer any amount to reserves.
They need not also.
They need not also. Then with regard to interim dividend, all provisions applicable to final dividend equally apply to the interim dividend. Now this is under the new act, it is specifically provides that if the company incurs loss during the current financial year up to the end of the quarter immediately preceding the date of declaration of interim dividend, then the interim dividend cannot be declared by the company at a rate higher than the average dividend declared during the immediately preceding the financial years. So, if in the preceding quarter there is a loss, then if the company wants to declare interim dividend, it cannot be more than average of the last 3 years dividend declaration. So, this is the condition which has been brought in terms of interim dividend. Then restriction on declaration of dividend. Now, under the existing act, company cannot declare dividend if redeemable preference shares are not redeemed. So, under the new act, company cannot declare dividend if the company fails to comply with acceptance of deposits and repayment of deposits accepted prior to the commencement Act 2013 Act. So, if there is any areas of deposits, then it will have to be first clear before making the dividend. So this is the new provision which has been built in. Then mode of payment. Now it is specifically says that it can be through electronic mode of payments is permitted. Now we are already getting lot of transfers directly into bank account. Now transfer of shares to IEPF. Under the old provision, when we transfer the money to the Investor Education and Protection Fund of the Government of India, the shareholders were not to get any money back if it is deposited. But now they are saying it provides that not only unpaid or unclaimed dividend can be transferred to IEPF, but the shares on which, and this is another condition, but the shares on which the dividend is unpaid or unclaimed can also be transferred to IEPF along with a statement within certain specified details. So, all money must go to the government.
It can or sell.
Pardon?
Can be transferred, sales can be transferred or sales be transferred.
It will be selling. Maybe mistake here.
Can also.
It would be sell. Maybe when writing here it may be can. The method of calculation of depreciation, percentage based method on each asset. Now the method of calculation of depreciation has been changed from percentage based method to useful life of the asset. So now it can be determined as to the useful life. If it is 2 years, you can depreciate it within 2 years. Now items transferred to the credit of IEPF account are being retained by the government. The items to be credited to IEPF account has been widened to include additional items over the above existing items. Now this is payment of dividends out of free reserves. Under the existing act, it provides that the dividend shall be paid out of reserves. Now under the 13 Act, now they are saying it provides the dividend shall be paid out of free reserves only. The term free reserves is defined below. Free reserve means such reserves which as per the latest audited balance sheet of a company are available for distribution as dividend, provided that any amount representing unrealized gains, notional gains or devaluation of assets, whether shown as reserve or otherwise, or any change in carrying amount of an asset or of a liability recognized in equity, including surplus in profit and loss account on measurement of the asset or the liability at fair value, shall not be treated as free reserve. Now, one of the basic distinction which has come in this definition is with regard to the share premium account. Under the section 372A, free reserves included the security premium amount also. And now that security premium account has not been considered as a free reserve, and free reserve is limited only to the profits which is available for distribution as dividend. So the problem is coming now in respect to the permissions required, because this earlier under the 372 Act, you can invest up to 50%, 60% of net worth, profit and free reserves, 100% and 60% of paid up capital. Now with the definition of the free reserve being restricted, excluding the share premium amount, the companies will be required to obtain the approval of the shareholders if they trigger these limits of 60% or 100%. Now, this is the Investor Education and Protection Fund of the Government of India. Amount transferred to IEPF can now be claimed by shareholders from the authority. Now, this is one relaxation which the government has given. Now the companies are transferring it after 7 years to the Investor Education and Protection Fund. After 7 years, how the shareholder will be awakened to claim it from the government, and how he will give details as to how much money he has to collect it. So this is a provision has been made just to satisfy that there is a provision exists to claim it from the government, but in practice it will be very difficult. In addition to unclaimed dividend, the shares related thereto are also required to be transferred to IEPF. So, even the unclaimed shares amount will also get transferred to the IEPF. And in India, there are many companies which are old companies where the claimants are not there of the shares, and they don't know even the dividend and other things come. There are two things. One is that it is not known in the family where the father has invested. Secondly, there is change of addresses, and due to continuity of change of addresses, the shareholders are not traceable. So the amount remains unclaimed. That is how this is actually. But it is difficult.
The company will directly transfer such shares.
Yeah.
Suppose I have a demat account, if the shares are lying with me, the company will directly transfer to the.
This is being done by listed
But
company
and
and
they will
class
intimate
5A also.
It about to share capital reduction.
See, the unclaimed shares are only with regard to
Only physical shares will be transferred.
Physical shares, not
Only
the
physical.
demat.
only physical,
Not demat account.
not demat.
No.
Physical, only unclaimed.
In that case, only dividend which is remained unpaid will be transferred.
Yeah.
Normally is connected with the bank.
Yeah.
When shares are transferred, amount to capital reduction.
No, it is only transferred to IPF. It is not considered as a reduction in capital. Because
dividend are not claimed.
Class 5A, it is already there.
After 7 years, you don't have to start dividend.
Pardon?
Because dividend are not claimed.
सात वर्ष में dividend नहीं आता. ये तो भी ठीक है. After 7 years, you don't have to give dividend.
Dividend continue to be.
One minute. Yeah.
Physical share certificate is lying with the shareholder. Then how can that be transferred?
If he is holding the physical share, that means he is entitled to it and he is getting it. It cannot be transferred to government.
He is holding the physical share certificate, but he is not claiming the dividend for 7 years.
How he is not claiming the dividend? It comes automatically.
His address is not.
That happens, no, we have a physical certificate, but for 7 years, dividend is not claimed. So how the company can transfer the share certificate when the physical share certificate is lying with the shareholder?
That is the difficulty which is being experienced. We have discussed also. Perhaps some rules will be brought in. Okay. After the question came up also, okay, afterwards the person claims, then how the company will give, because the original certificate is with the government, so how the company will issue duplicate share certificate. So there are a lot of issues on this which are undecided at the moment.
Another issue is that you have failed to claim one of the dividend earlier. Subsequently, you have claimed the dividend.
So then
because of one of the earlier dividend which has crossed 7 years, the shares will also go.
No, not. If it is in a claiming position that you are getting it and getting it.
But you missed one of the dividends.
Then it will not be. Then it will not come in the category of unclaimed shares. Yeah.
To see the provisions.
Now, if you have missed and that money has gone to the government under the due act, you can claim it.
How to claim it is very difficult.
And they will later. Now, the company is required to display the details including name of shareholder on website of the companies whose dividend are transferred.
Then it will be claim only.
So the company will be having this onerous responsibility of putting on their website the name of the shareholders and the dividend whose dividend has been transferred. The company will be required to provide the information as per the prescribed format on the website. Details of the name of the shareholder, number of shares and all that. Yes, so that brings, I think I overshot the video. Yes.
Company needs to transfer the number of shares to IPF now to the unclaimed dividend which has already deposited to IPF.
Unclaimed dividend is already deposited, no? So that means it is a story of unclaimed shares. So that unclaimed shares in a physical form will also be required to be produced.
On the implementation of the company has to reconcile its overall status from the incorporation till date.
This difficulty is coming only in respect of companies prior to 1996. After 1996, everything is in a demat mode. So this question is only with regard to the old companies, and you have rightly pointed out that there are many issues with regard to the reconciliation. This issue is more in respect of companies which have a history of lot of mergers and acquisitions. They have taken over the shares of the old company and they are not able to do it and reconcile it. Those companies, they are feeling lot of difficulty. These are practical difficulties which will always be there.
Thank you, sir, for making deciphering various new concepts on the Companies Act, and this will also provide the various opportunities as a professional we will be having in future. For example, one of the issues was raised that if the both director and nominee dies, what will? Because that some countries, some companies like GE has a policy that all directors will not travel together. If two directors are there, they will travel.